amongst the other complexities of Oak Island, it's not oriented any particular way, so I'm never quite sure where north and south.
Nobody ever mentions this chapter of Oak Island's story, the part where the island itself refuses to make sense. Its landmarks don't align to any logical grid. Its so-called treasure zones don't match up with history, geometry, or even basic common sense. And the infamous money pit, after 2 centuries, it hasn't given up a single verified coin, only swallowed the fortunes of the people chasing it. Yet somehow, Oak Island keeps dragging people in deeper, as if the island chooses who gets close and who doesn't. Now picture the scene. The first pale light of morning pushes across the shoreline. Mist curls between the trees. The crew looks exhausted, hollow-eyed from a night they'd rather forget. And standing at the edge of the excavation, Marty Lagina stares down at something the audience was never meant to see, something the cameras missed, something that changed the temperature of the air around him. For over a decade, Marty's never backed down. Not from storms, not from flooded shafts, not from legends warning him that the island has a dark memory. But today is different, because what he sees this morning shakes him harder than any collapse, any discovery, any failure. By sunset, he's ready to walk away from Oak Island entirely. So what happened out there? What forced the unshakable Marty Lagina to reconsider everything? And why does this single moment rewrite the entire legend of Oak Island? Stick with me, because once you hear what really unfolded, you'll never view this mysterious island the same way again. And before we dive into this revelation, make sure you hit subscribe and turn on all notifications. You're going to want every second of this.
Quality right there. It's old growth oak. I just wanted to see what it was like, so I turned that shelf.
You actually made that?
I made that, yeah.
The energy on Oak Island during the last days of Season 12 was electric. After more than 10 years of non-stop digging, about $20 million invested, and mountains of earth hauled out, the team was closer than ever. Their entire season had zeroed in on the Garden Shaft, a dangerous centuries-old shaft believed to lead directly toward the true money pit. Using advanced sonic drilling and ground-penetrating radar, they detected a massive metallic object over 160 feet underground. But hidden beneath the surface data were strange, fluctuating energy readings the geologists didn't understand. Something down there was different. After 228 years of failed attempts, this was the most promising lead anyone had ever found. Rick Lagina, the eternal dreamer, was almost trembling with excitement. Marty, the realist, was cautiously hopeful. He'd seen huge discoveries turn out to be chunks of rotten timber before. But this time, even he sensed that something was truly there. And with 56 teams before them, having all failed, some tragically, the Laginas were determined not to become just another name in Oak Island's long list of dead ends. The final dig was pure tension. Cameras were everywhere, ready to capture what could have been the discovery of the century. The plan? Drop a 10-foot-wide steel caisson down to the anomaly, then send a camera and eventually a diver safely inside. The drilling started smoothly. 100 feet, 120 feet. The team hovered around the monitors like spectators at a final championship match. Then, at 158 feet, disaster or destiny struck. The drill slammed into something solid, but it wasn't natural stone. It pushed back, hard. The equipment groaned under the pressure. The drill shrieked, sparks flew. For a moment, it looked like the whole million-dollar setup might rip itself apart. Marty shouted over the radio to slow down. Rick urged the team to keep pushing. This was the moment they'd been chasing for over a decade. And then, a deafening crack shook the ground. The drill broke through. and the world changed. A deep, vibrating hum rolled through the island. Not mechanical, not electrical, something ancient, something unnatural. The war room lights flickered. Camera feeds turned to static. And then, rising from the depths of the garden shaft, a soft, pulsing blue glow illuminated the machinery. Not a reflection, not a camera glitch, a literal, physical light, strong enough to be visible even under daylight. The glow throbbed for 30 long seconds, then vanished instantly. The hum stopped, and the island fell into absolute silence. Everyone froze. Rick recovered first, yelling for the cameras to reboot. Marty didn't move closer. He stepped backward, face pale, eyes wide with a fear he didn't even try to hide. That was only the beginning. Before any cameras came back online, before the team could even review what happened, a convoy of black, unmarked SUVs raced across the causeway. These weren't tourists, not police, not even officials from Nova Scotia. These were cold, stone-faced men in suits, the kind you only ever see in big-budget movies. They moved with military precision, surrounding the entire garden shaft. One of them approached the Laginas and said only, "This site is now under federal jurisdiction. Your operation is over. All footage from the last hour will be confiscated." No explanation, no badge shown, no paperwork, and their tone made it clear. This wasn't a request. It was an order backed by force. Crew members had their cameras taken. Memory cards removed on the spot. Everyone was pushed away from the money pit. Government involvement had always been a rumor, but the speed, less than 10 minutes after the anomaly was breached, gave those theories terrifying credibility. Right then, the split between Rick and Marty became unmistakable. Rick, shaking but exhilarated, whispered, "Don't you see, Marty? This proves it. They already know what's down there." Marty didn't answer. He just kept backing away from the shaft, as if the island itself had finally shown its true teeth. And for the first time ever, he wanted out. But Marty wasn't seeing what Rick saw. Where Rick saw destiny calling, Marty saw a line being crossed, a boundary smashed apart, a door opened that should have stayed sealed forever. For Marty, the danger had changed. It wasn't collapsing shafts or wasted money anymore. "This isn't a treasure hunt, Rick," he snapped, his voice cracking with a frustration no one had ever heard from him before. "This is something completely different. We're in over our heads. We need to stop." Two brothers standing at the threshold of the greatest discovery in Oak Island's history, yet farther apart than they had ever been. What happened next didn't happen on camera, not in the war room, not in front of the crew. Their breaking point happened alone, just the two of them, behind closed doors, while government agents prowled around the site like silent guards. Most people think it was just an argument about next steps. It wasn't. It was the collision of two worldviews that had been slowly grinding against each other for 12 long years. Rick's unshakable faith versus Marty's hard logic. Rick, emotional but resolute, insisted they were meant to finish the quest. He said they owed it to every searcher who came before them, to their family, and to history itself. "We can't walk away now," he pleaded. "This is the meaning behind everything we've worked for." But Marty, the calm, analytical brother, had reached the limit of what he could endure. The eerie light, the bone-deep vibration, the sudden arrival of government agents who looked like they'd stepped straight out of a restricted military base. It pushed him past fear into something darker. He wasn't just scared, he was terrified. He reminded Rick of the island's infamous legend, that 7 people must die before the truth is revealed. 6 are already dead, Rick, Marty said quietly, his voice trembling. Do you really want one of us to be the 7th? Or one of our sons? For what? A secret the government is clearly prepared to bury at any cost. What viewers never understood is that Marty's sacrifice went far beyond money. Yes, he had bankrolled the hunt, but the real weight was emotional. He had risked his reputation, his stability, and years away from the people he loved, all for a dream that wasn't even his to begin with. But this unknown force, this shadow creeping out from under the island, it was one gamble he could no longer take. He saw invisible hands closing in, and he realized they were no longer making decisions for themselves. They had become pawns in a much larger, far more dangerous game. Then came the moment no one ever expected. Marty gave Rick an ultimatum, blunt, heartbreaking, and final. Either they shut everything down, turn the site over to the authorities, and walk away forever, or Marty would do it without him. Rick was devastated. He looked at the brother who had stood beside him through every twist and setback, and for the first time, he felt like he no longer recognized him. How could Marty walk away now, at the very instant they were closest to the truth? The argument exploded. Years of bottled-up emotion, fear, and doubt came boiling to the surface. By the time the shouting ended, neither brother had anything left to say. Finally, with tears in his eyes, Marty spoke the words that shattered the entire project. I'm done, Rick. I'm resigning. From the company, from the show, from all of it. Oak Island is your obsession, not mine. Don't let it destroy our family too. Then Marty Lagina walked away from the island, leaving Rick and their lifelong dream behind. And just like that, the future of the hunt collapsed into uncertainty. The production company put out a vague statement. They claimed Marty wanted to focus on other ventures, but fans knew the truth. Season 12 had broken something that could never be repaired. The aftermath was a maze of secrecy. Government personnel stayed on Oak Island. The entire Money Pit Zone was locked down like a military base. Unauthorized access? Impossible. Tourists and camera crews? Banned. The once busy island was suddenly silent. And now, the big question hangs in the air. What happens next? Rick Lagina hasn't spoken publicly. Sources say he's heartbroken, but more determined than ever before. He now faces the unimaginable challenge of continuing the search without Marty's funding or grounding presence. But an even bigger question remains. Will he even be allowed to continue? Once a government steps in, they rarely hand control back. This is where you, the viewers who have followed this journey, come in. Are we missing something? Was this outcome inevitable from the beginning? Many believe the show was a perfect cover, a publicly funded dig that allowed authorities to observe safely from a distance until something truly extraordinary was uncovered. And now, people are connecting dots nobody dared to before. Oak Island is a geological anomaly, a drumlin of layered clay unlike anything nearby. What if the treasure wasn't crafted by human hands? For decades, all eyes were on the Knights Templar. But newer whispers are far more unsettling. Rumors suggest the Templars weren't hiding riches. They were hiding knowledge. Texts, relics, or ancient records powerful enough to rewrite history, maybe even destabilize governments. Some now speculate it wasn't a vault at all the team hit, but a vessel, something ancient, something engineered, something not of this world, buried to protect humanity from it, or to protect it from us. Suddenly the blue glow, the deep harmonic hum, the instant government arrival, all of it starts to make sense in a chilling way. What if the drilling didn't break into a chamber? What if it reactivated something dormant, something waiting? Oak Island's greatest clue might not be what they found, but what Marty chose to do. A man like Marty doesn't quit because things get difficult. He quits because something terrified him enough to walk away from everything. His resignation is more than a personal choice. It's a warning. Some mysteries are better left alone. Some doors should never be opened. Oak Island has already claimed money, years, and now a brotherhood. Was the price of the truth simply too high? As the dust settles over Oak Island, one truth becomes impossible to ignore. Whatever was uncovered in that final shaft wasn't just another piece of wood or a discarded relic from past searches. It was something different, something that changed the atmosphere the instant it was exposed to the open air. The blue light, the vibrating hum, the instantaneous arrival of silent authorities. It all points to a reality far stranger than buried gold or ancient maps. For generations, Oak Island has been described as a puzzle built by human hands. Templars, pirates, engineers, whoever you believe. But what if all those theories were just breadcrumbs, crafted to distract us from the real answer hiding below? What if the island itself isn't a vault, but a seal, a containment field, a protective barrier that someone or something put in place long before the Laginas ever dipped a shovel into the mud? Think about it. Every time the team got close, every season, every breakthrough, something pushed back. Flood tunnels that activated exactly when pressure changed, shafts collapsing at the perfect moment to stop exploration, strange electromagnetic readings, tools failing for reasons no engineer could explain. And now, in Season 12, the most dramatic reaction of all, an energy pulse strong enough to knock out equipment, alert unknown agencies, and terrify the most grounded, logical member of the entire operation. Marty didn't walk away because he lost faith. He walked away because he finally understood the scale of what they'd disturbed. Maybe the Templars weren't hiding wealth. Maybe they were guarding humanity. Maybe they were guarding the world from something we weren't supposed to wake. And that's what makes his resignation so chilling. Because if Marty Lagina, the man who funded the dream, the man who refused to believe in curses, the man who dismissed myths and demanded data, if he is scared, then we should be too. Rick, meanwhile, stands alone in the shadow of an unraveling mystery. He's torn between honoring the promise he and Marty made as kids and respecting the silent warning that now hangs over the island like a storm cloud. The agents watching the site aren't archaeologists. They aren't historians. They're protectors of what no one knows, but their presence says everything. The money pit is sealed. Access is denied. And the island, once buzzing with machines and hopeful voices, now sits in an unnatural stillness, as if holding its breath. So where does the story go from here? Will Rick be forced to surrender decades of work to a government that refuses to answer a single question? Will Marty's departure spark an investigation of its own? Will the footage seized that day ever see the light of day? Or is this the point where Oak Island shifts from a televised treasure hunt into something far darker? An enigma locked behind classified files and security fences. One thing is certain. The mystery is no longer about the past. It's about the present. About the unseen forces circling the island. About the ancient technology, lost knowledge, or forbidden power that may have awakened beneath the earth. And about the brothers, once united, now divided, who devoted their lives to chasing an answer that might be too dangerous to reveal. In the end, Oak Island may not be solved with a drill or a camera. It may be solved by understanding why someone wants it buried and what the world would become if the truth were ever allowed to surface. But until more pieces fall into place, until Rick speaks, until the island stirs again, we wait. The world is watching. The government is listening. And Oak Island, silent, guarded and trembling with secrets, waits beneath the waves. If you want to stay updated on every twist, every leak, every whisper from inside the lockdown, then this is where you belong. Hit subscribe. Right now, turn on all notifications. Join us as we uncover what they don't want you to know.